Hello from Germany and welcome to my channel World War II Diaries. Bad news reached me a few days ago. YouTube cancelled the monetization for this channel. That's good for you, no commercial breaks. Bad for me, no money at all. So I don't want to beg for money, but if you donate $1 or €1 every month, we can keep up the work and we can finish Rudolf's diaries up to 85 episodes. And the next we want to do is World War II diary from a tanker who was in Normandy and fought until 1945. So we want to see that. Support us, please. Support us. And if half of you donate €1 or $1, we can keep up the work. You will see a donation link in the description. And thank you for the support. So now we start with a new episode.
It's going more backward than forward. Over and over, we have to move out and block locations of breakthroughs or quickly perform a counter-offensive. But our tank is reliably holding on. The optic has been adjusted well, so one scores a hit here and there. But the Russian is becoming more cautious. The tank spearheads aren't just driving straight anymore. They've also gained experience. Flanking maneuvers, baiting us into anti-tank gun emplacements. The artillery is overwhelmingly strong, and the planes are disrupting the supply routes during advances. Twice we've been involved already, but due to poor positioning had to perform a fighting withdrawal over and over again. It's impossible to score kills during these. Scare the opponent, retreat in leaps, then forward again. Take 2, 3 shots and go back again. That's the operational procedure. It's not so easy, but we'll manage. Apparently, we have to go back farther and give up much conquered land again. By now, summer is almost over, and once the mud period sets in again, everything will bog down in the quagmire. Until then, we should contemplate whether we should entrench ourselves in fortified winter positions or still place our bets on a flexible defensive line. We have 2 days rest, so I finally had time to write the letter to the wife of the fallen first lieutenant. Nevertheless, I have a hard time with it, and will put it off for now. But I've considered getting some help from the platoon leader. When I'm with him, he's quickly understanding of my situation and gives me some valuable advice on how to write this the best and thus make it easier for the surviving relatives. I'm quite glad that unlike the platoon leaders and the company commanders, I don't have to write these letters to families constantly. That's certainly never easy. But you shouldn't always write the truth in these letters, especially not about how the man came to die. The relatives definitely don't want to know that. He was immediately dead, or the injury was so grievous that he died a short time later. That's something you could write, but torn to pieces, shredded, burned to death, decapitated, crushed to death. Nobody at home wants to hear that. Again, we are on the retreat. The repair platoon makes the start, then follows the supply unit, and we, together with another company, are securing to move to disengage. We no longer have a lot of the long barrels, so we are in demand once again. We are to remain in position for 4 hours. Some infantry and another 2 Panzer IIIs are remaining behind us. If the Russian goes in pursuit, we are to disengage gradually. And the right flank is still an anti-tank gun unit, which, however, is only thinly deployed. For 3 hours it remains quiet in the approach area. Apparently the Russians either aren't coming or don't have the urge to today. Then we do hear battle noises, but It's not coming from the front. The commander is scouting to our right flank. There, the Russian appears to attack. So the bastards somehow did manage to flank us and are now messing up the anti-tank gun emplacements. We direct the Panzer IIIs in for support and remain further in our cover. We have a free field to fire to about 1000 meters. Now we can also hear tank engines, also from the right. And on top of that, tank cannons which start firing. It doesn't take long until we receive the report via radio. One Panther III destroyed, the other immobilized. One crew is hurrying back to us, the second is still engaged in fighting against the approaching Russians. Are we now to abandon our position and support? The commander decides that we wait another 10 minutes. And if they don't make it, we'll help. Still, no opponent ahead. We move off to the right. There, soldiers of the anti-tank unit already come towards us, running about wildly. A second tank is also on fire. Now things get hairy. A master sergeant climbs up to us on the turret and informs us that the Russians were moving in with assault guns, too heavily armored, and they simply overran the infantry. Oh my, that could be bad. Already, the first Russian vehicle is pushing up through the thick brush forward. I attempt to take aim at the hull, but that's too far down, so hold at the front anyway. Command to fire, but the shell just scratches on the roof of the SU. Reload it, the second round hits better, but also does not penetrate. Now, however, the Russians have noticed that there's another player involved. Already, the second SU comes crawling up. This time, it's pushing up a bit higher. I get the lower hull into the optic. The glowing shell eats into the Russian steel, and the assault gun is finished. Now, the enemy infantry comes storming in. Our bow machine gun begins to rattle, and the first Russians are knocked backwards by the bullets. We load high explosive rounds and try to hold in between. They are also so close that they're almost at the tank. The commander wants to abandon the position. Without accompanying infantry, they'll tear us to pieces. Already, the first hand grenades are splashing against the tank, without causing damage. We roll back and try to get away from the Russians. Where are our grenadiers? No rifle shooters cover us. We roll further back and manage to hold the Russians down. Finally, sporadic mortar fire on the assault spearhead sets in. That already helps. After 500 meters, we are alone again. We turn for home, but leave the gun pointed at the enemy. That way, we are rolling along the roadways that we came and soon encounter our retreating comrades and the 2 tank crews. Here were 2 dead and several lightly wounded. The tank guy jumps up on our Heidi, and we drive on. Soon our own line should be ahead. Hopefully, the Russians won't follow up so fast. Finally, we reach the line of security. Infantry and anti-tank guns are positioned here. We withdraw behind it. The commander reports what happened. We received the order to secure here further. The last infantry soldiers are integrated into the defense. Our crew without tanks are sent to the company. But even here, it's tight again. The commander is not thrilled. We talk about those Russian assault guns. I explain where one has to hit them and what else can be done. Shooting off the tracks is always good, and once they're no longer standing in the direction of fire, one is out of danger. It's slowly getting dark, but for now, things remain quiet. We take turns inside the combat compartment, and that way we do get a few hours of sleep underneath the tank. But at 4 a.m., the dance is already setting in again. Harassing fire is shot into all lines by Ivan, so only light nighttime music. There's no big clobbers included, yet. But sleep is also done for now. For 3 hours, shells are impacting around us. Either it's really going to start soon, but the Russian is no longer attacking. At least we're still getting some coffee and cookies for breakfast. Then we already mount back up and are to relocate over to the left flank. Fuel is slowly going down. Ammunition of the main gun is still sufficient. Machine gun ammo might also become scarce already. Off it goes. We rattle off and merge into a convoy of vehicles, which is also on the way in support of the flank. The road is not well to see. We have trouble not driving into a ditch. There's little light here. It's just slowly getting brighter. In front of us, a tow vehicle has already got itself stuck on the side of the road. We stop and want to help out. Already the 4 comrades are jumping off, and we put ourselves in front of the 7-ton hauler to get it back on the road. We have to turn our headlights on, or else we can't do this. The steel cables get tight, and we pull ahead. Slowly, the heavy hauler is getting back on the road. The tracks get traction, another 20 meters, and we stop. The steel cables are detached. Then it happens. The Russians have probably spotted us. Now mortar fire is covering the road. I'm still on the road and swiftly jump into a ditch. Already there's an impact. 2 men are knocked down. Further shells are coming down around us, but not very close. The nightmare is over. The men are rolling around the ground with pain-contorted faces. We rush over and help. Shrapnel injuries to arms and legs. They were lucky. Our commander got hit by some shrapnel as well. He waves us off. Only his shoulder, it had itched a little. He still remarks. But he's also letting himself be bandaged up. I walk over to the hauler. The driver is still sitting in his seat as if he'd fallen asleep. I look closer. He's dead. A large hole in his helmet shows me that a large piece of shrapnel must have entered from below under his chin and exited through the head out the top of the helmet. There's nothing more to do. Damn mess once again. We send the heavy hauler back and lay the dead and the wounded on the back of the 7-ton vehicle. With pain-contorted face, the commander is sitting back inside the tank again. But he smirks and states he'd only had himself bandaged up so that his uniform wasn't soaking up all the blood. Yes, indeed, such problems, but who'd want that? I answer in jest. We drive on and reach the flank. But here, not much else is happening. No Russians, no tanks, nothing. Thus, we remain standing in a favorable position and wait whether we may be able to help anywhere else. After 12 hours, nothing else has happened so far. Therefore, we relocate back. On our way, we see a few German fighter planes which are trying to shoot down a few IL-2s. But those Russian birds are some really tough beasts. One has to get a whole bunch of ammunition into them to make them crash. But finally, 2 of them fall from the sky, burning. And I am happy, because those will now leave us alone.